just heard me playing this simple yet fun and interesting scale pattern applied to a few different types of scales. And in today's lesson, I'm going to show you how you can learn to do that yourself with this scale pattern and plenty of others. And I've also got a great free PDF download for you that's got 12 different scales that you need for jazz improvisation, written out in all 12 keys. Metcalf here from BetterSax.com, and if you like free saxophone lesson videos like the one you're about to watch, do me a favor and drop me one of these right now. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, now might be a good time to make that commitment. I recently released my Harmonic Foundation video course, which covers all the scales, chords, and music theory we need to really begin serious study of jazz improvisation. It's full of hours of video explaining how all that stuff works. I recommend to all my students that they try to learn as much of these scales as they possibly can without reading it off of sheet music, especially if they're working towards a goal of being able to improvise. But I know that sometimes you just want to have it all there written out in front of you as a reference. That's why I put together this PDF download. It's got 12 of the most important scales you need to know, written out in all 12 keys, and there's a link in the description below to the BetterSax shed where you will get access to this PDF as well as tons of other PDFs and MP3s. Basically all my free lessons I put there. You just need to go sign up. There's no strings attached. You get a link sent to your email address giving you access to that page, and you can just knock yourself out, download all that stuff. There's plenty to keep you busy practicing your saxophone, and it's all free. Now let's walk through everything that we've got on this PDF, starting with our major scale. The major scale is also known as the Ionian mode. And as you can see on this PDF, I've got all the key signatures written out, and the keys are going up chromatically. So we start with C, then D flat, then D, E flat. That's one way to go through all 12 keys. There's other ways to cycle through all 12 keys, but chromatic is probably the one I use the most. You probably are already familiar with your major scale. If you want to get serious about playing the saxophone in any style of music, you should make learning your major scales in all 12 keys a top priority. Think of that as a prerequisite for kind of doing anything else on the saxophone. Next, we have the Aeolian mode, which is also called the natural minor scale. I put this next to the major scale because these are known as relative major and minors. So the first major scale is C major, no sharps, no flats. Next to it is the Aeolian scale, which also has no sharps and no flats. Aeolian is the sixth mode of the major scale. Moving to the next page, we've got the Dorian mode. The Dorian mode I've written out for you in all 12 keys, but it's another mode of major. This is the mode that starts on the second scale degree. You've also got your Mixolydian mode. Mixolydian mode starts on the fifth scale degree of your major scale, and I've written those out in all 12 keys. If you're confused about modes, not sure what I'm talking about here, watch my video. I'll link to it, all about modes. And be aware there are 3 other modes that I didn't include in this PDF. Those are the Phrygian, the Lydian, and the Locrian. The idea is once you understand this concept that a mode is the same notes just starting in a different place, you don't really need to learn every single mode. You just need to think of things in terms of collections of 7 notes. Moving on, we've got some more minor scales. The melodic minor scale. This is the jazz melodic minor scale. Because it's the same going up as going down. If you ever took a classical music theory course, you might have learned about the melodic minor scale that is different going up and going down. Afterwards, we've got the harmonic minor scale. This one is very handy when you're playing in a minor key, like let's say over a minor 2-5-1. It's very handy because you're going to get the major third of that 5 chord, which is going to help you sound more inside the chords, as well as the flat 9 on that 5 chord, which is going to help you sound much more in that minor tonality. And if I'm going over your head with a lot of this stuff, remember my Harmonic Foundation course covers all this stuff in detail. It is the sort of stuff that takes a bit of study to learn, but with that course, I've helped a lot of people kind of digest and understand all of this music theory in a way that they never thought was really possible for them. It's not that complex if it gets explained properly. Moving on, we've got our major pentatonic scale in all 12 keys, as well as the minor pentatonic scale in all 12 keys. And again, I've paired them with relative major and minor on the same line. If you've gone through my Play Sax by Ear crash course, which is free, I teach more in detail about the major and minor pentatonic scales. You'll find that linked in the description below. Also, my Pentatonic Foundation course is kind of learning how to use your major and minor pentatonic scales to improvise and learn to play melodies by ear. Very, very useful scales indeed. Moving on, we've got the diminished scale. The diminished scale is what we call a symmetric scale. It's because it has this steady series of intervals. It just goes half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, forever. We've got 2 different versions. One that starts with that half step interval, and we call that half whole diminished. And another one that starts with the whole step interval, and we call that the whole half diminished scale. This half whole diminished scale is very useful on dominant 7 chords when you want to get all the tension notes, because if you play the half whole diminished scale starting on C over a C dominant 7 chord, you're going to get the sharp 9, the flat 9, the sharp 11, you're going to get and the 13, you're going to get like some nice colorful tension notes, and it's something you're hearing a lot when you're listening to good jazz improvised solos. Okay, on the last page, we've got the whole tone scale. This is another symmetric scale. It's because it only has 1 interval in it. It's all whole steps, hence the name whole tone scale. This one is good to know and can be used in a variety of situations. And the last scale we have is the blues scale. Now, I've made 2 entire courses about the blues scale, my Blues Foundation course, as well as my Blues Language course. This is, I put this last, but this is one of the first scales I teach students because you can get a lot of mileage out of it. It's a sound that you're going to hear in lots of different styles of music, but beware. There's a warning that comes with the blues scale. A lot of people end up learning this blues scale and realizing, oh, I could just kind of fit this anywhere and it can work. And then they stop learning new melodic material and they just kind of stick with that blues scale. And very quickly, the improvisations become very stale and boring when you're just using that one color in that one group of notes. So learn your blues scale, but then go and learn all of the other scales and how to use them. And in this way, you get a broad palette of colors and sounds to use when improvising. Now, at the end of the PDF, there's this scale pattern, and I've applied the scale pattern to each different scale. I just wanted to show you that you could take any scale pattern from any book or anything, something that you make up, whatever, and apply it to all these different sounds. If you're looking for stuff to practice, this PDF right here should keep you busy for a year at least of daily practice. I'm playing on the BetterSax alto saxophone. In case you're wondering, this is absolutely the best instrument out there, anywhere near that price range. I'm loving it, and I'm sure you will too. There's also a link in the description below in case you're looking for a great alto saxophone that won't break the bank. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon in the next BetterSax video.